So I wanted to take a moment and just talk a little bit about how to send and how to receive emails. Emails are a professional business form of communications, different from a text message. Text messages are really just, well, text versions of conversations, casual communication that you would have with a friend or a family member. But with email, there's a little bit of a difference, and you really are conveying something in tone and your intent by how you write an email. So let's talk a little bit about how to write an initial email, how to respond to an email, and also a quick word about the timing of email responses. And so this is an email that you're going to send to somebody else. You're not replying, but you're going to send to somebody else. So you type in the person's name that you're going to send it to, and then let's talk about the subject line. A lot of times, it seems that students will often leave the subject blank. Right? Don't do that. Teachers, your coaches, employers, other people, we get lots of emails, and it helps us to know what we're about to read. Is this something I'm going to need to respond to quickly? Is this an emergency? What's going on here? So maybe you want to talk about making up a test, and so you type in make up test. Okay. Now we move into the body of the email. One of the things that we see a lot of times is that students will simply start typing. I need to make up my test. When can I do that? Okay, what's wrong with this? Well, again, this isn't a conversation. This is not like texting. So it's appropriate to start off with a greeting, okay? Even if it's teacher you know very, very well, coach that you know well, dear Mr. or Miss so-and-so. So give them a greeting. If it's a little bit more casual, you might say hi, and then the person's first name. So something like that. That's fine if you know that the relationship is more casual. When I'm emailing Latin students, for example, I will use a Latin greeting. But you want to have some kind of a greeting because, again, this is a professional, really more formal form of communication. So you start off with your greeting, and then what is it you're trying to communicate? You don't want to just say, can I make up my test? So something like this. I know I missed the last test, period. When would be a good time for me to take it? Okay? You've not just been rude and said, hey, I need to do this. You said, I know that I missed the test, give a little explanation there, and then present your question. Okay? Then you want to have a closer, right? So something like sincerely. Sincerely always works. And then your name. Now, if you don't want to use the sincerely, that's fine, but at least put your name at the bottom, right? You don't want to just leave that. Even though we might be able to tell who it is from the email address, sometimes a person can't tell from the email address who the sender is, so at least put your name there. Then, before you come down here and you hit send, you want to go back and read that email. You want to check for grammar, spelling, punctuation, and emotion, okay? So, for example, you're really upset about something, and so you start off, dear Mr. Perkins, I can't believe you wouldn't let me take my test when I came in before school. I thought I could take it anytime. What is wrong with you? I'm so mad. And then your name. Okay, well, let's talk about this. If you send that, certainly the person is going to get the sense of what you're trying to communicate, but you haven't communicated that very maturely. You haven't communicated that very professionally. There's all kinds of mistakes here. And you know what? That actually does matter. You might say that it shouldn't, and you might be right. Maybe it shouldn't, but it does. People will read that email and say, this isn't a person that really isn't very serious about what they're trying to communicate. So believe, we got that misspelled, wouldn't, That should have had an apostrophe. I should have been capitalized. Came in before school. It should have had a period after that. Again, the I should have been capitalized. I thought I could take, well, I guess I'm supposed to say, I thought I could take it any time, period, right? Now, what is wrong with you? I'm so mad. You may be. But to attack somebody and say, what is wrong with you? In the heat of the moment, maybe that's what you felt. But you want to proof that, because you send that email, you have created an antagonistic relationship already, and that's not what you're wanting to do. So you probably want to recast this whole thing and say something like this. I came in before school to take my test, but you weren't there. Is there another time when I could take it? Now, since you're asking for something, an appropriate closing would be, thank you, and then your name, okay? And if you've got a particular issue with the teacher or whomever it is you're emailing, you can address that with them personally, but you want to keep that sort of thing out of the email. So you check for grammar, spelling, punctuation, and emotion. Now you're ready to hit send. Okay, so you've hit send, and now you say, okay, well, it's time to reply to an email. So I'm going to go to the inbox here. Oh, here's my email, and I'm going to reply to it. When you go to reply, okay, if it's a first reply, you really should start off with a greeting as well. Dear Mr. Perkins or whomever. Again, if it's a close friend, you might say, hi, so-and-so. That might be fine. You could say, hi, Steve, or something like that. If it's an email thread where there's 3, 4, 10 emails piling back up, then no. After the second one, after the first reply, which would be the second email in the thread, you don't really need to have that each time. But with that first reply, it's nice to have that proper opening there. Then thank you for your email. You are welcome to take the test on Thursday. Again, it's the first reply. Closing is nice. Again, sincerely, and your name. You might say something like, if you don't like the sincerely, if that sounds too formal, I look forward to seeing you soon, and then your name. Okay, so some sort of a closing there. And again, if this is the 7th email in the thread, then no, you don't need to do that. In fact, you don't even need to maybe put your name at the closing there. But if it's the first reply, then you want to do that. Now, how often should you be replying? How soon should you be replying? At this point, you need to check your email once every day. At least once every day. Nobody's saying you've got to live on the email, but you need to check it once every day because this is the primary means of communication, certainly at school and as you get out into the business world. You need to respond. In fact, we're actually going to put this in the body of this email here, right? You need to respond within 1 to 2 days. Respond sooner if necessary, okay? 1 to 2 days. Past 2 days, people start to think, my email didn't go through, this person didn't care, this person isn't being responsive. You need to respond within 1 to 2 days. And if it seems like something much more serious, if it's something more urgent, then you respond more quickly. So those are some tips about composing and responding to emails. Hope that helps.